show on Building Fortunes Radio with your host, motivational speaker Greg Dwyer. Be sure to check out Greg at www.gregdwyer.com. That's www.gregdwyer.com. Now on to our show. Take it away, Greg.
For those of you that don't recognize me, I am Greg Dwyer. New set. I decided to make things new. And a new sweater. So every time I do these podcasts or these YouTube videos, I'm always wearing black. But I decided to wear my Irish sweater. A couple days ago was St. Patrick's Day. And this is a sweater that I picked up in Ireland a couple years ago. And it is white and my new backdrop. These are real books. This is not a set. So today we're going to talk about new. That's the N, new. You know, we're talking about this word diamond, and of course we're at the word new. Focus on something new. When I do my lecture, The Importance of Focus, I talk about the fact that what gets in the way is our unconscious. We have these programs that are running in the background. It's almost like a DOS or a Windows running in the background of a computer program. And we wonder why things don't change. We try to focus on something and then we get distracted. That's the enemy, distraction. Well, the problem is, or the challenge I would say, is that the unconscious mind is running these patterns which we have been programmed since childhood, between the ages of 1 and 8, maybe 1 and 10. And if we're not aware of these things, they're pretty much running the show. So people who study these things, and I remember exactly where I was when I read about this, we have about 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day. It's crazy. You know, we go to work, we do certain things with the family, 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day, right? 90% of what we're thinking today is going to be repeated the next day, and so on and so forth. So here's the challenge. We want something new. I mean, this is the reason why we focus. This is the reason why we read a book, or we go to a seminar, or we take a class. We want to improve our life. We want to flourish. We want to do something different. And then what happens, typically for most people, is they fall back into old patterns. How in the world do you break old patterns? How do you do something new? This is what we're talking about. Putting all of the pieces together, talking about doing something new. 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day, 90% of them are the same. It gets interesting. About 50%, depending on who you listen to, 50% of what we think, what we say, and what we do is habitual. And in a sense, it's kind of cool. It's nice because we don't have to think about it. You know, when we wake up in the morning and we, brush our teeth, or we do what we have to do, we get ready for work, we don't have to think about a lot of these things because they're habits. We don't have to burn calories. We don't have to think. We're on autopilot. I don't know if you've ever been in your car and you're driving somewhere and you get there and you say, I don't even remember getting here. You're like in a trance. It's like highway hypnosis. In a sense, we're on autopilot. 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day. 90% of them are the same. 50% of what we think, we say, and do, we're not even thinking about. We just do it. So today's Sunday. Most Sundays, I travel up to Hartford, Connecticut area, and I stop at Cumberland Farms. And it's kind of a running joke because I go to pump number 12. In fact, 2 weeks ago, the attendant said to me, I see you pulling in at the same time on Sunday, and I know it's you when you're on pump 12. You don't even have to tell me, right? And he just fills it up, right? He just says, go ahead, fill it up, pump 12. And it's kind of a running joke. Well, today, as I'm driving to Cumberland Farms, pump 12 was taken, and I thought, oh no, what am I gonna do, right? So I went to pump 9. And now this is the funny thing about it. The minute I walked in the door, the guy yells to me, goes, I guess you're not over at pump 12. And I'm thinking to myself, this is our life. We have these habits. We might read a book. We might go to a workshop. You may have even listened to me at the magic of I was going to say magic of communication. I was falling back into old patterns. It's actually the importance of focus. You may have actually seen that lecture. but then you fall back into what is comfortable. And see, this I think is the key. We want to be comfortable. You know, as much as we want to lose weight or do something different, come Monday morning after the weekend workshop or after, you know, we get all pumped up or whatever's going on in our life, we tend to fall back on what is familiar in our life and we go right back to old patterns. And one of the things that assist us in this falling back is hanging out with the same people that we met 10, 15, 20 years ago. And they have a tendency of putting us right back to where we were before. And again, you probably heard the story of the crabs in the bucket. You know, you got like 10 or 15 crabs in a bucket, and one of the crabs decides to do something new. It wants to crawl out of the bucket, and then what happens is the other crabs pull the other crab down. They're threatened. They're threatened by what is new. And quite frankly, what we're talking here is about focusing on something new, which is scary. It really is scary, because if you want to flourish or if you want to grow, you're going to have to get outside of your comfort zone. So that means I'm probably going to have to go to pump 9 from now on. You know what I mean? So I'm going to give you a challenge, and I'm going to give you the challenge at the end of this call. And it's an easy challenge. It's something that you can do for 7 days. It's fun. It's exciting. But I'll get back to that, you know, as the podcast comes to an end. But think about this, 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day. 90% of them are the same, and 50% of what we do is repetition. One of the things that I love to break the pattern, and it's going to sound like a commercial, and it is travel. You know, I love taking people to Israel. I love taking people to Greece or Rome or Ireland. We're going to Ireland in about 4 weeks. I'm really excited. I'm wearing this sweater because St. Patrick's Day was a couple of days ago, and if you couldn't guess, my last name is Dwyer, and I'm Irish. What I love about travel is if you really take it in, you recognize that the whole world does not see or operate the same way as you might in your country. Like, for instance, we're going to Ireland in 4 weeks. I will sit down with the group of people that are going with me before we go, and I'll kind of prep them, like prepare them for the trip. I'll say, first of all, you got to do something new with your money. In other words, we're going to Ireland, not the north, the south. You're going to have to get some euros. Well, can I bring my own money? Yes, but you probably want to convert it over into euros because you don't want to show up with dollars. Oh, so that means you got to do something new. And if you're used to buying something $5 and getting back change, you know how that works here in America. Well, now you have to think about euros, and the money's a little different. And so you're going to have to do something new with the money. You're going to have to pay attention to what the person gives you back in change, right? Unless, of course, you want to use your credit card all the time. But this is a new thing. You got to go to the bank and get new currency, and you're going to play by their rules, and, you know, you're going to be very aware of what you're buying and how much it is and how much change you're going to get back. Like, I was just looking at my tour book the other day, and I was looking at the fact that when we land in Dublin, we may take a cab or we might take a bus. Cab is like 40 euros. A bus is like 250 euros, exact change. So it kind of makes it interesting because you can't be on autopilot. You can't be on autopilot because when you do something new, like going to Ireland, which I can't wait, by the way, you have to think new thoughts. Those 45 to 65,000 thoughts, you kind of got to push them away and you got to say, wait a minute, stop. I got to think about my new currency, right? That's what I got to think about. The other thing is culture. You know, I don't care if it's Israel. I don't care if it's Italy. I don't care if it's Ireland. The culture is different. The culture is different. You know, we'll stay at 5-star hotels in Ireland, and I'll tell people they're probably as big as your walk-in closet. You know, people will, you know, unpack and get into the room and come back for lunch or dinner. Like, my room's really small. I said, yeah, I get it. But, you know, that's the culture. It's new. It's different. One time I went to Ireland and I stayed in a castle, and my bathroom was almost bigger than my house. It was insane. I mean, they were treating us like VIPs. We were VIPs. But it was so cool to spend time in a castle in Ireland. I'll never forget it. So, yes, is this a commercial? Yes, it is a commercial. But at the same time, it's a great metaphor when you get outside of your comfort zone. And by the way, we have people going with us next month that have never, ever traveled to Europe. They would never do it by themselves. Here we are, going with me, been there like 5 or 6 times. It is going to be exciting. What's new? Currency is new, culture's new. You might go back to your hotel, turn on the computer, or not the computer, the television, and you might see things on the television that you would never see here in America, and you might get offended. Hey, whatever. You know, you might watch the news in Ireland and say, wow, the news is different, you know, than the news that I see here in America. Again, it's different. It's new. That's why I love travel. And here's another one, cars. Now, I've never driven in Ireland, but I will tell you this. It's a new experience because they drive on the other side. They drive on the left. Now, if you're from Europe, you're saying, well, that's the right way. For me, it's the left way. So if you're standing, you know, there's a place in Dublin that I, you know very well. There's a bank there. We cross over, and it's a crowded intersection. You got to look both ways. You got to look both ways. Because if you're used to just looking one way, like, you know, you're in New York City and you just look, you know, one way, right? You might get hurt. You might get killed, actually. So I tell people, when you're with me in Ireland, you got to do something new. It's not just the currency. It's not just the culture. It's the cars. You got to watch out. You got to look that way. You got to look to the left. You got to look to the right, and do it twice before you cross the street. Why? Because they drive on the other side of the road. It's a new experience. So again, it is a commercial, but it's also a metaphor for life. Now, I will tell you about this sweater. This is like a $300 to $400 sweater. I don't wear it every day at all. I only wear it for special occasions, and I thought, hey, I got a new set here, which is, by the way, this isn't a set. These are real books. And I'm wearing my new sweater that I take out on, you know, St. Patrick's Day or special occasions. Inside the sweater, there are knitted in the sweater. If you're watching me, you can see it. They're diamonds. You know, my logo is a diamond. Well, years ago, I'm in Ireland, and I tell the guy my name is Dwyer. Oh, Dwyer, you're son of Dwyer. Yeah, I'm Dwyer. He pulls out this cauldron, and in it, or I should say engraved in it, is a clover, like a club. Like you think of clubs and spades and diamonds and hearts on a playing card. There's this clover, and inside of the clover, or inside the club, I should say, is a diamond. And he says to me, oh, the Dwyer clan. He says, very wealthy family here in Ireland. He said they would create wares for fireplaces and for household metal and cauldrons. And he goes, very wealthy family, very wealthy family. And the symbol is a diamond. Now I heard this story after I came up with the diamond. I came up with the diamond many, many years ago. That's a whole story in and of itself. But when he pulled out this cauldron and showed me the diamond, then I went to a store and I bought this sweater, which is a Dwyer sweater. On the back here it says Dwyer. And the emblem inside the sweater is a diamond, and here's the story. And I don't know if it's true. Maybe it's just a sales pitch, but I love the story. They would say that they had different sweaters for different last names, and in the sweater would be the pattern of the last name. Now, I know you can't see it, but above my logo, there is a stitched crest for the Dwyer name, and that represents my family. And why am I telling you the story? Because I would never know this if I didn't get on a plane and fly to Ireland and talk to this guy about the Dwyer family and about the diamond. Now, this is not about my logo, my last name, or my experience. It's about saying to you that if you want to do something new in your life, you got to do something new in your life. It's like Groundhog Day, 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day. 90% of them are the same. And at this time in my podcast, I usually do a commercial. So why don't we do a commercial? Be right back in 30 seconds. Hold on real tight.
You've been listening to the Greg Dwyer Radio Show, brought to you by Motivation motivational speaker Greg Dwyer on buildingfortunesradio.com. Do you wish you could sharpen your focus on what matters most to you and achieve more? Then you owe it to yourself to read Greg's ebook at gregdwyerebook.com. That's www.gregdwyerebook.com. Download it today and give it away. As always, we want to thank you for listening to the Greg Dwyer Radio Show on Building Fortunes Radio with motivational speaker Greg Dwyer. Now back to our show. Take it away, Greg.
All right, we're talking about this idea of doing something new. Now, small step. Most people, they say, I want to change my life. What do I want to do? I want to move. I live in Connecticut, going to move to New Jersey. I live in, Maryland, going to move to California. Easy peasy, right? Making an environmental change, meaning I'm going to go from a house to an apartment, or I'm going to move from state to state or country to country, or my life is terrible, I'm going to move to Europe, that sort of thing. All right, that's new, right? That is new. However, it's easy to do. In a sense, it's easy to do. It's not easy. I just talked to a friend of mine not too long ago that was in Turkey, and you probably heard what happened in the last couple months in Turkey with the earthquakes. And I met her when I was over there, and I just found out she just moved to the Chicago area. I left her family behind, and she's supporting her family by getting a job here and working here and sending money back. Okay, so making a change with your environment is easy. You sell your house, you move into an apartment. You think your whole life is going to change. The problem is you take yourself with you. All of those patterns and all of those values and all of those beliefs come with you. Now, it's easy to make a change. Like if you're in a relationship and it's really bad and, you want to walk away from it and you want to go into the witness protection, program, I get it, right? It's an easy thing to do. You get away from that bad experience, or you leave a job. That's another one. Most people don't leave jobs. They leave managers. But these environmental changes that have to do with your environment are easy to do. But the challenge is you take yourself with you. So eventually you're going to go back into the patterns again. So what's the secret to making new changes that are lasting? Because you don't want to just make a change and go right back to where you were. The first thing is you got to be very careful of who you surround yourself with. A lot of my friends I chose when I was 17 years old, when I was 20 years old, people I met in college. And I still know them. I still, hear from them occasionally. Your friends are a direct relationship of your thinking. The reason why they are your friends is because they think the same way you do, right? So if you want to change your life, you have to be very aware of who you're spending time with, because who you're spending time with is who you're going to become, really. It's a reflection of your thinking. They wouldn't be your friends if they didn't like you and they didn't think the same way. So I'm not saying you have to ditch your friends. I'm saying be careful of the people that you surround yourself with. As far as boundaries, as far as communication. Like, Jim Rohn used to say, wisdom is knowing you want to spend 2 days with a person, or 2 hours with a person, or 20 minutes with a person, or 2 minutes with a person. Some of your family members, some of my family members, they know us, they know us since we were little kids, and they have the tendency of bringing us right back to where we were when we were 8 years old, when all of this programming started. So changing your environment is an easy change. Changing your friends and who you hang out with and your associations, that's more challenging because there's going to be loss involved. You're going to lose people, or you're going to have to, limit yourself with people. That's not easy. It's easy to change from street to street, to hotel, to apartment, or, buying a house. That's easy. Or changing, countries. That could be easy. But what we're talking about here is changing yourself internally from your beliefs and values, and ultimately your identity. I mentioned this in my workshop, my lecture, The Importance of Focus. This movie, Groundhog Day, Bill Murray, Connors, I guess it's Phil Connors, he's trying to change his life. He's trying to make changes, and nothing really works. Until he recognizes that he is not the most important thing on the planet. until he recognizes that love is more important than being, somebody that just is focusing on himself. Because if you've ever watched the movie Groundhog Day, you know that he enters, the movie always thinking about himself, always thinking about me, 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 me. And out of that comes a lot of suffering. And he tries to change things externally. He tries to do new things externally, but that really doesn't really change things until his values change. And if you're looking at me, I'm pointing to my heart. Until his beliefs change. And then ultimately what changes is his identity. But one of the things I did today is I brought you into my new set, right? And it's not a set, it's actually my study area. These are real books. I put on a new sweater because we're talking about the topic of being new or doing new things. So here's my challenge, right? I said that I was going to give you a challenge, and I'm looking at the time. We have less than 10 minutes left. What if for the next, 7 days, so between now and 7 days from now, that you do something new every single day? Now here's an example that's really simple. I don't know if you're the kind of person that goes shopping every day or you go shopping once a week. I like to go to the market every day. I know it's kind of crazy, but what if you were to buy something or do something new when it comes to your food? Like, in other words, you probably buy the same, if you're like me, you probably buy the same food every week and every month. What if you were to buy something that you normally don't buy? Now, I'm not telling you to go crazy on your diet. Well, here's an example. I was in Paris one day, and I was on a trip. We went through France, we went through Madrid. It was a wonderful trip. And the last day, I hired a guide, a one-on-one, and this woman who I met on my tour actually showed me around Paris for the day. And it was delightful because, she knows the ins and outs of the town and the area. And so it was nice to have a guided tour one-on-one. So I said to her, I'm going to give you so much money. I'm going to pay you so much money. I'm going to take care of your lunch. I'm going to take care of your dinner, your breakfast. It's on the house. I actually bought her, I think, a gift, a book or something like that. So we're sitting there not too far from Notre Dame, and we're having lunch, and it was wonderful. I'll never forget it. And she says, why don't you try escargot? And I'm like, snails? Yeah, snails. Yeah, snails. I'm like, now, you got to understand me. I don't like to do this kind of stuff. I remember as a kid, my mom bringing me spaghetti, and it was spaghetti sauce, and I didn't like the spaghetti sauce. For years, I ate the spaghetti without the tomato sauce. I don't know why. I was probably 5, 8 years old. So I was very picky when it came to eating. Like, I don't want to eat that. I don't know what it is, and my mom would say, oh, you don't know what you're missing, right? So I'm not the kind of person that's very adventurous when it comes to food. Not at all. But I'm in Paris. I'm in Paris with this beautiful woman. She spent the day with me. She showed me around. And she's like, why don't you try, escargot? And I'm like, okay. So we actually videotaped this. I have to find it somewhere. I don't know where in the world it is. But I'm saying, I remember saying to her, okay, I'm going to do it. So she's got the camera and she's holding it up and she's videotaping me as I got the escargot, and she's telling me and showing me how to hold it and eat it, And she goes, I remember exactly what she says. She says, try to eat it. I said, no, I'm not going to try. I'm going to do. I remember that exact. But here's the idea. I ate it, by the way. I mean, it tasted like rubbery, and it was something I did. It was something, a challenge, But it was something that was new. So I'm going to encourage you, I'm going to challenge you. What if you were to do one new thing every single day for the next 7 days? Now that means you could go to the grocery store, and instead of buying that, right, for dinner tonight, because that's what you normally eat tonight, you're going to buy something that you've never had before. Never, like never. One of my friends did this for a year, 365 days. Every single day, he ate something that he never ate before. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. It's this idea of expanding your reality by doing something new. And what does this have to do with focus? It has everything to do with focus. The reason why I think most people get focused but don't stay focused is that they fall back into patterns that they're familiar with. That's it. People go to a workshop, they go to a seminar, they buy a book, they get all excited, maybe they listen to a podcast like this, and then Monday morning they slip right back because it's comfortable. I know it because, I'd rather be wearing black right now. I'd rather have you in my other studio right now. It's familiar, it's comfortable. But if you really want to grow, and that's the only thing that I think is going to make you happy. I don't think what you get is going to make you happy in the long run. I don't think it's the car or the house or the $1 million. Once a person gets to $70,000 or $75,000 a year or $100,000, I think it's like 70. They don't really care about money. It doesn't matter. If somebody's making 70 and they get up to 80 or they get up to 100, it's like, it didn't really change my life. But what will change your life, and this is just my opinion, is who you become. Who you become, who you surround yourself with, and how you flourish in life. And the only way to do it is to recognize the patterns, but to create new patterns that will serve you, new ones that will get you to where you want to go. I really believe that's the key to this game, So here's my challenge. Every day, you only have to do 7. Maybe you go out and you buy oatmeal. You don't buy oatmeal, you buy, something else, or you're familiar with milk. You don't do the milk thing, you do the almond milk. I don't know. I'm not telling you what to do as far as your diet, but it could be a fun thing to do. Now, if you don't want to do the food thing, here's another thing you might try on. New clothes. Maybe you go into your closet. If you come to my house here in Connecticut and go through my closet, you'll see that 80 to 90% of the clothes that I have in my closet, I don't even wear. I tend to wear black, and I tend to wear the same things every single day. So what if in the next 7 days, 7, I like that number 7, what if in the next 7 days you decide to go into your closet and pull out something that you haven't worn before? It's sitting there, or maybe you'll find out that this stuff doesn't fit you anymore. You don't like it anymore, and you bag it up and you give it to charity, clean out stuff out of your closet. But you're not on autopilot. You're not getting up in the morning and wearing the same dress or the same tie or the same dress shirt or the same pants. You're actually consciously thinking about doing something new. And it's really small. It's not a big thing. But what it does, I think, is it stretches you to realize your patterns and to say, I'm not my patterns. Just because I wear black all the time, that's not who I am. Who I am is bigger than that. And then you start expanding yourself and you start, talking to new people and meeting new people, maybe traveling to Ireland, or next year we're going to Scotland. That's the goal. Scotland, never been there. We're going to hang out with the Loch Ness. That's going to be fun. You know what I'm saying? It's new. And so when it comes to focus, I realize the reason why people don't stay focused long term is that it's easy to get focused. It's hard to get and stay focused. And I think the key is you got to grow, you got to stretch, and you got to create what you want as something that's new, and it's got to become a habit. So that's my challenge. I'm throwing down the challenge. This is my friend said, hey, you going to eat this snail? I'm like, yes, I'm going to eat this snail. I'm going to challenge you to do something new. Now, if you don't want to do it for 7 days, just do it for 1 day. Do it for tonight. Find something that you normally don't eat, like, I don't know, liver and onions. I remember my dad making that. But sincerely, do something new. And I believe this with all my heart. It's important that you separate yourselves from your distractions. Because if you don't separate yourself from your distractions are going to separate you from what is important. Focus. We'll catch you next week. Bye, everybody.
Listening to the Greg Dwyer Radio Show, brought to you by motivational speaker Greg Dwyer on buildingfortunesradio.com. Check out Greg at gregdwyer.com. Be sure to download his ebook at gregdwyerebook.com to stay focused on what matters most to you. That's www.gregdwyerebook.com. We want to thank you for listening.